In your case, your big muscles had to do with your mind. So you've been off trying to get big muscles with your mind, and it's cute and they're hot. You got them now, and so now it's like, okay, you got your muscles, but what does Cinderella need? Maybe some sleep. Okay, you got your muscles. You can handle any kind of guy, arm wrestle any kind of guy, but it's like maybe some new shoes. Good morning, my friend, and welcome now to Wednesday. Well, buckle your seatbelt and put on your 3D glasses. Sensei says we're about to go down the rabbit hole of a new dimensional shift. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your Wednesday Namaste today. Welcome to Namaste Today, an intergalactic way to start your day. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Sensei Chris Watecki. I've come here to try to live in the light, and Goddess knows it hasn't been easy. And I want to say thank you for walking by my side. Namaste, my friend, and welcome to a very cosmic, intergalactic Wednesday. I think we're kind of going down the rabbit hole. That's because we've got a lot of step 22 vibrations. So for those of you who've been studying with me for a long time, you know what that means. We're going to go quantum today, and the universe is. That means we're going to feel ourselves to a new dimension. I think this is countdown to a lunar eclipse that will be the actual change of the dimension after you emotionally venture down your vibration. It'll know where to take and what not to take. So we're really going down the rabbit hole, literally. And I'm going to help you today with 3 steps for galactic travel, what I can offer you in galactic travel. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Wednesday, September 14th, 2016. Looking ahead at the 5-day moodcast. Tomorrow is going to be a cloudy day, but rather graceful. Then on Friday, it's sunny and very disjointed because we have that lunar eclipse. And on Saturday, I predict to be feeling overcast and a little reluctant at everything. But today I predict sunny with a chance of going quantum. We're at step 22, and that's where we start to lose sense of you. That's my new rhyme. Now, the Great Human Walk has reached step 22 Virgo today. That means our ruling channel is channel 4, I belong. And that means the ruling planet is Uranus. Need I say enough? Now, on top of that, with that, we have the moon. Our emotional focus today is definitely out there and wonky, intergalactically challenged and strange, I'll say. The moon is in Act 2 of Aquarius, so we're feeling our awareness, we're feeling this dimensional shift. And then lastly, our mental focus. Mercury is retrograde, of course, so our thoughts are inside out. We don't even know what's going on to some degree, and we're rethinking our decisions today, so making new decisions at step 18. So I argue we're about to go through a bit of a vortex or a spiritual upgrade is what it is in the end result there. And I'll give you some tips for how to do intergalactic travel inside yourself. But first, steep yourself some tea and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is Theories of Astrology, Part 2. And I began this topic just prior to this, so if you haven't seen that segment, roll back and take a look if you want to understand the big picture. It takes almost 3 days, I think, to kind of explain some of this. We talked about ancient astrology and how astrology was basically that the humans noticed that certain kinds of humans were born during certain kinds of times. And they used basically the planets to kind of track when those type of humans might be born and when to grow their own crops. Now, I want to talk about the next part of astrology, which is this idea of do the planets and the stars have any interaction or anything to actually do with vibrationally interfering with the human story? I say yes. In fact, you have to understand some of physics, but basically our solar system and the entire universe is expanding at a rapid rate. Okay, so ever since the Big Bang, things have been speeding up. And I almost look at the planets and everything as almost like a remedy of a blast. You know how they in a gunfire they analyze after a gunshot or something a blast and the splat pattern. Well, basically all the planets are just still from that Big Bang all still moving and all still rattling and all still doing the things as a reaction to that Big Bang being created. So we're all like blowing, we're all moving away from a huge blast site, like at an extreme, at a growing faster rate. All right. And I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook and stuff. These have these little animated GIFs, so they show what it looks like with the planets. But really, it's that the sun is, because we're constantly expanding, the sun is digging into consciousness, and it's like this corkscrew of planets and energy and vortex energy that is constantly like, almost like surfing, like, almost like dolphins through the universe with trailers. If you look at the trailers of them, it's like this huge vortex going up and through time, racing away from this explosive moment. In fact, what you may not know is that every year when the Earth comes back to its same spot, it's actually not in the same spot. It has moved and moved and moved. So literally every time the Earth comes to this spot, it's like a frame in space-time. The Earth will not be in the same space-time the next time, or the next time, or the next time. So you can see how Earth is almost creating frame. Every year is like a frame of your life, a frame of your story in motion. Never does it ever share the same space-time it once did. Truly, every moment is 100% unique, which is interesting, in space-time. And yes, one could argue, you want to go back in time, go back to where the Earth was at that time. You'll find yourself on the Earth confused with yourself, I think. You know what I mean? Like, what? You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but space-time travel has been kind of almost proven that way, that they've made clocks go forward in time, and literally can see it in this very simple level. So they have this thing called the precession of the equinox, okay? And this is what a lot of science says is why astrology is wrong, because in ancient Babylonia, they were looking at Aries, and now that's Pisces. And the answer is, we know. Astrologers know this. We know, we calculate it. What you guys don't understand is what we understand, which is that when the Earth was here and you were calling it Pisces, okay, now that we call it, we call it Aries, that energy. Now the Earth is here, we're calling, now it's Pisces. The point is the Earth is here. The Earth is here, okay? And that we are calculating where the Earth is time and time and time after again. It doesn't matter if it's against this sign or that sign. Remember, the signs are just a way to scribble on the calendar where we currently are, okay? The truth is the Earth is still wobbling from the Big Bang, and the precession of the equinox is the school bus is wobbling. So at this point in time, when you look at the stars, you see Aries, but after so many years, you'll see Pisces there because the Earth is wobbling. The school bus is still going around the sun at the same rate. That hasn't changed. Earth being the school bus, by the way. And even though we tell the time and we look in the stars and it's Aries this time or it's Pisces that time, the school bus is still here in this place, in this step of consciousness, in this part of the vortex. So it is a looking at the stars, but knowing that the stars change. We know they're wobbling. We know that we have to update and account for that, okay? And Vedic astrologers don't. They look at it where it is today. And whenever I've gotten any Vedic reading, energetically, it's precisely on. Energy is energy no matter what you read. If you drop wax into a teacup, that is vibration. You're going to get a reading. Consciousness is going to reflect truth in everything and all matter, down to, I believe, the electron or wave, depending on the perceiver. So I believe that it doesn't matter about the precession of the equinox. Now, the last thing I want to point out is how I think it might all work. It's like, we as humans definitely fall into moods, and we fall into moods together. We know this. Look for yourself. Everyone races to the grocery store at the same time. Everyone races to the restaurant. I used to work in restaurants. We get all these surges and rushes and stuff all the time. It's like, I lived in a small town in Arkansas. It's like, really? Every single person living on a farm decided to come in right now? Really? Like, was there a church thing? Like, no. It's like, when you get rushes, it's like, what the heck? We are all kind of like cattle connected to something, right? Like birds flying south and whatnot. And a lot of us, we don't know what it is, but we do kind of get to this. Now, we know barometric pressure affects emotion. If the barometric pressure changes, we know that you'll get tired or not tired, depressed or sleepy. So we already know that, weather kind of affects us. So to just wrap up this part two, it's like, if the planets actually had an effect on human beings directly, vibrationally, by being where they are, I believe it actually has to do with the fact that they're screwing with Ra. Do you know who Ra is? Ra is the sun, okay? The Egyptians called him Ra, okay? Now, the sun, actually what is happening is, and this is how they actually discover planets, they discover new planets because they see what the planets do on the sun. Whatever star that the planet is orbiting, it's yanking that star back and forth. Now imagine all these planets are dancing on Ra, pulling on our sun all the time. And I think our sun, which is the fire of the whole thing, is like, "Rrr." I almost look at Ra as like animal in like, "Rrr." Like, so I think the planets screw with the sun. And I think the sun's energy, the light goes up and down, maybe on subconscious levels, we don't know. What makes it what screws it? The planets. So the planets in their motion might be screwing with the sun. The sun might then be putting out different light. Human beings might be mooing in different directions just because whenever the light's this way, we just feel we should go that way. Of course, they have a Taurus approach, and I kind of look at all of us as cattle, so please don't be offended, which is why I shouldn't eat meat. Now, that said, that ends our second one. Let's move on to what I call the megascope. This is where I go into the left side of my brain and channel a message from my spirit guides. And we are in a quantum time, if you don't know, which is why I'm talking about these quantum topics. And I'll have some tips for your galactic travel also. Peppermint tea. Okay, it's very interesting. Talking about vortexes and whatnot, we're on countdown to a lunar eclipse, and I'll be talking about what this is here in the next couple of days, but energetically, it's almost like a lunar eclipse ends up swapping out energy. You had energy there, and like it gets sucked away, and all of a sudden that consciousness has to be reprogrammed. That's what I kind of see. And so basically, it's a spiritual graduation, and what Spirit's message was for you was to remind you that your spiritual level is determined by the way you treat yourself. So if you believe that you are on a higher holy level, you must emotionally treat yourself on that level immediately. You must be what you want to dimensionally come. You must treat yourself the way you want to be treated. This is the power of the universe, YOU, and how it works. So we've got our hands right on the wheel. It's very exciting, friends. Now, that said, I have some tips. The tips are basically, let's see, how do I put it? Tips for galactic travel. Sorry, Mercury retrograde. And I have these tips for, like, basically, I think dimensionally shifting, like, what do you hold on to? And things are changing in your reality. Like, what do you hold on to? And the spiritual life coach, that's what I'm coaching through. It's like, oh, we're about to go through a weird time. Here's what you do. Step one, decide mentally where you're going and then detach. So in other words, your mind decides where you're going. You have that discussion. You decide where you're shifting to and what is. Right? And then after that decision, no more discussion. That's it. Shut up, smartass. Keep it quiet at that point. So decide and back away. Secondly, step two, what does this destination feel like? What does the destination feel like? Because that's how the universe communicates, is through emotion. And so this is about going to feeling a different you, feeling a different about you. And step three, once you identify what that new reality feels like, it's your job to vibrate at that feeling until the transition is complete. Okay, that's the best way I could say it. Now, for those watching over my personal Sensei service today, we're going to talk about lunar eclipse theory. I'm going to get a little deeper in a cosmic way about how I think it energetically works and kind of mapping it out for those who are interested about that, nerds like me. And in your eye candy today, I will be talking about where the upcoming eclipse on Friday morning will be affecting you in your story. So where will you be affected? Where do I see the swap out? Look for your candy at 3 o'clock. For those watched on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. I thank you ahead of time. And if you follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at CWateki. I post a lot of interesting little reminders through the day. And if you like to jump into the bright star that you really are, come on down to SiriusJoy.tv, where our spiritual technology will help you get to know yourself and begin that learning process. In fact, if you sign up right now during this retrograde, you'll be entered to win a free 15-minute reading with me, so you'll really get to dive deep. And you know what? I've read many people at these contests. It's always fascinating because Spirit, like, they weren't willing to buy a reading, so Spirit manifested for them, and it was one of their moments that it's like, wow, universe is listening. So try it for yourself. Come on down to SiriusJoy.tv. And have a good time in the vortex. While you're out there, remember, Sensei loves you. And until next time, live, love, be.
So